After having learned that much about validation, controllers, views, and so on, it's really time to get to models, the core of every modern web application. Working with data. Models are the core of our business logic. They represent our data structures, and all kind of cool web applications can be created by cleverly using models. So let's have a look at them. Not sure if you're already sick about our app here, but it's really great to show a lot of concepts of Laravel. And don't worry, we will get to our projects soon enough, and there we will build really cool, awesome stuff. So we got our predefined free items here, our free actions. Now what I want to do is I want to get rid of this form, or I want to change this form so that the user can instead create his own actions, which will then show up here. And when we click them, we get to see a view where this action will be executed. Now, to be able to work with this data, we need models, because we need to be able to store and fetch data which is dynamically created. Now, Laravel makes that easy. But first we have to configure our database. Therefore, go to your .env file here. I already have mine open. To be able to work with a database and to connect Laravel to our database, we have to make 3 changes in this file. First, go to the DB database parameter here. Change the homestead to C9 for Cloud9. Second change is the username here. Use your Cloud9 username. If you're not sure what your Cloud9 username is, you can find it up here in the URL. Just before your project name, this is your username without the slashes. So in my case, M. Schwarzmüller. Copy it here instead of the homestead. And then here, just delete the secret. We got no password. That's all, you're good to go. Maybe you're wondering, I was just talking about models, now I'm talking about a database. What is what? If we're working with an SQL database, what we're gonna do here, Laravel makes it really easy for us to work with it. You can think of every model we create in Laravel as a representation of a database table. So if we were to have a user table in a database where all our users are stored, we would have a user model in our application. Actually, Laravel has this connection so strongly tied up that we then can query our database through our model, because with this built-in functionality, every model can be interpreted as a table in our SQL database, and we can use the Laravel Query Builder, which is a nice way of writing SQL queries without actually having to write SQL. You will see that, don't worry, to fetch and store data in our database. So to get started, let's go to this database folder here, open it, and go to migrations. And there are 2 migrations here, 2 PHP files. These are files Laravel created for us, and we won't need them. Just delete them. Now, to create our model, we're going to use the Laravel Artisan command line tool. Now, this is basically a command line tool Laravel ships with, which enables us to quickly create and make certain things we commonly have to do in our Laravel application. Creating models is one of these things. We do this by going to our command line down here and entering PHP Artisan. This is always the beginning when we're using an Artisan command, which is just a Laravel command line interface. And then, in this case, we want to make a model. Now we enter the model name, and we want to create a model for our nice action. So the model will have the name of nice action. Now we're not done. Enter a space and then a -m. This will not only create the model, but also a migration. A migration is a PHP file we can then use through PHP Artisan 2 to create everything the database we need to. So especially the table, and configure it the way we need it for our model to work with it. As I said, there is a strong connection between Laravel and a MySQL database. So now just hit enter. And you should see that the model was created successfully and that also a migration was created. We can see this migration here, and we will enter it right now. So this file is basically for the configuration of our database table, our nice actions table. We have an up method, which means when we tell Laravel to write our migrations, this method will execute it. And we also got a down method, because we can also roll back migrations, so to delete the tables. And this will just drop the table. Notice that Laravel automatically chose the name nice actions with an S at the end for our table. This is the default convention Laravel uses for creating database tables. It will take our model name, convert it in a way that it removes all capital letters and inserts underscores to separate the different parts of the name, so to say, and it also adds an S so that we always have the plural form. Now in here, in this closure, we can define which fields our table should have, and by default Laravel always creates the ID field, which will have the configuration of being an auto-incremented field, and some timestamps. This will be the created at and updated timestamp. And that's fine for this model too. Now what we want to add here is a string, which will be a varchar field in our database with a name of name. So this will be the name of our action. We will also have, and this is new, an integer field with the niceness, so that we could say the nicer an action, the higher the value here. So that's all for that. And we can now write our migration to our database. And we're just doing this by running php artisan migrate. So now it wrote it to the database. And if you want to actually see this, we can access phpMyAdmin in Cloud9. Just Google for Cloud9 phpMyAdmin. And here you will see how you will have to do it to be able to access it. Now I'm not doing it right now because I know that everything has been written there. So let's focus on our model next. We have it here. In our app folder, Laravel created this nice action model here. By the way, we can delete this user model here. When the time comes, we will create our own one. So now we got this nice action model. And now what do we have to do inside here? Actually nothing. At the moment, nothing. There is little configuration which is possible or sometimes necessary in this file. The only thing we'll regularly have to do is define relations to other model inside this file. But as we only have one, we can leave it as it is. The model where it extends from will have all the functionality we need to do the database queries I talked about. So that's a real cool feature of Laravel and makes development real easy. So that's all we need to get started with our dynamic list. We set up a model and a migration. We wrote this migration to the database, so we got a database table, and we're now ready to write our logic for inserting new possible actions and fetching them. So see you in the next videos. Bye.